At the beginning of the drama, we see the female lead, Minjung Shi, who was a teacher and is going to meet the male lead and the world's richest man, Chief Chinjan. Now, as soon as Minjung opens the door, the male lead, Chinjan, is beating a person very badly. Minjung looks at him and thinks he is indeed a very cruel-hearted person, and then says, "Hello," to Chinjan. Just then, that person starts asking Minjung for help, so Chinjan pushes the person back and says, "I don't like people who betray me at all." After saying this, Chinjan says to Minjung, "Everyone knows that no one can come here, so how did you get here?" Minjung says, "Mr. Chin, it's nice to meet you. My name is Minjung Shi, and I am a teacher." Chinjan says, "It's a very brave thing that you have come here to become Jiading's teacher. Tell me, how much money do you need?" Minjung says, "I sent many letters to the Qin family, but there was no reply, so I had no other choice." Chinjan calls her name and asks her to come near him. As soon as Minjang goes near him, Chinjan grabs her hand and lays her on the sofa. Minjang says, "Mr. Qin, respect me. I am a teacher, not a prostitute." Qin says, 8 out of 10 girls come here to become a teacher for the Qin family. You are not the only one." Minjang says, "I have no interest in the salary here, nor am I a greedy woman." Hearing this, Qin touches Minjang's body and says, "Your dress is driving me crazy. You've come in front of me dressed like this, so you will be punished for it. Why don't I pay your debt?" Minjang says, "Whatever dress I wear is my choice, not a way to earn a living. People like you can't respect anyone. But please, don't put a price on me by looking at my dressing." Qin says, "Money isn't given to anyone so easily. If you make an interesting offer, then I will like you." After saying this, Qin starts to kiss Minjang, but Minjang turns her face away. Qin steps back and says, "People play so many tricks to get close to the Qin family. If you want to do the same, then don't come back again." After saying this, Qin leaves from there. Minjang goes after him and says, "Mr. Qin, I understand why you are angry. I know what the problem is in this contract. I know that their profits are not high, but more units are being used here." While reading this, Minjang is coming down the stairs when she bumps into Qin. Qin catches her and then stands up straight. Everyone there stands up on seeing Qin. Qin tells Minjang, "Leave." Minjang says, "If this contract is signed once, it will be a huge loss for the buyer." Qin says, "What do you think? That I chose you because of your pretty eyes?" Minjang says, "This is to my advantage, and I am also a good teacher." Qin says, "I like smart people, but I'm afraid that if I don't set the rules, my snakes will bite me like cobras in the future." Just then, the same person whom Qin had beaten badly arrives. Qin says, "So, what do you think, Liu Lepin?" Hearing this, he starts apologizing to Qin. Qin says, "Come on, Miss Teacher, tell me what should be done with him. His punishment should be the toughest of the tough." Minjang says, "He troubled you. Death is an easy punishment for him. I have a plan to calm your anger." Qin says, "Then tell me." Minjang says, "He messed with your contract, right? This means he loves money more than his life. Why not let him publish an apology in the newspaper about how he insulted the Qin family? This will destroy his career. His life will become worse than death." Hearing this, Qin says, "I like your method. I want to see this message tomorrow morning." And then he tells the person, "Leave." After the person leaves, Qin says to Minjang, "You are really clever." Minjang says, "Thank you" to him. Qin says, "Give me something to write with." Minjang says, "I only have an eyebrow pencil." Qin takes the pencil from her, holds her hand, and says, "Don't move." He then writes a number on her hand and says, "Call this number. I will send a driver to pick you up. I am giving you a chance, but will you be able to handle a devil like me?" Minjang says, "So, deal done." In the next scene, Minjang goes to Qin's house the next day and says, "Mr. Qin, I came to class early." Qin says to his manager, Jen, "Take the teacher to Jiading's room." So manager Jen takes her. As soon as Jen goes outside the room, he says, "Now, you go straight from here." Minjang says, "Thank you," and moves forward. After going a little further, when she looks back, there is no one there, which scares Minjang a bit, and she starts moving forward. She goes and knocks on the door and says, "Are you inside, Jiading?" But no voice comes from inside, so Minjang goes in. Just then, a ghost comes from behind her and scares Minjang. Minjang catches him and removes the cloth from his face, and it turns out to be Jiading, whom Minjang was supposed to teach. Jiading says, "Did you want to scare me to death?" Minjang says, "You were the one who wanted to scare me first." Jiading says, "Okay, let's drop the anger. Come, sit." Now, as soon as Minjang sits on the chair, there is something underneath it. When Minjang picks it up from under her, it's a fake snake. Minjang says, "Wow, I didn't think you would work so hard to scare me." Jiading says, "Aren't you scared?" Minjang says, "I have been hearing for a long time that a member of the Qin family has forced many teachers to run away. Don't waste your time." Then Minjang takes a finger out of the tea and throws it away. Then she dusts a book, and many fake insects and bugs fall out of it. Jiading had kept all this to scare her. Minjang says, "I wish all these were real." I would have cooked and fed them to you. Then she looks around and says, that's it? It's over? You shouldn't underestimate the enemy. Jia Ding says, you know not to enter a lion's den and attack, right? Minjiang says, I wouldn't do that. Jia Ding says, you love money more than your life. Minjiang says, you have a lot of confidence in yourself. Jia Ding gets angry. Minjiang says, you don't know about me. I don't earn money by taking risks. Jia Ding says, can you give your opportunity to someone else? Minjiang refuses. Jia Ding says, then why should I waste time? Come on, tell me what you can do. Minjiang says, I have been teaching for 20 years. I know you are not a bad boy. You are a good kid. You just run away from studies. Jia Ding says, that good kid whom no one pays attention to. Minjiang says, that's because you are different from everyone else. Jia Ding says, wow, you say nice things sometimes. I liked that. Minjiang says, well, Mr. Qin has finally found a teacher for you. But I am here only to earn money. Why don't we team up? You want to stay as you are, and I want to become rich. So let's make a deal. Jia Ding shakes her hand. In the next scene, Uncle Jen and Qin are waiting for Minjiang. Just then, Minjiang and Jia Ding come down from upstairs together, which shocks Qin and Uncle Jen because she was the first teacher who was not scared by Jia Ding's pranks. Just then, a girl arrives whose name is Feng, and this girl likes Qin a lot. Feng comes running and says, Qin, I heard you had a fight with someone. And then, as soon as Feng sees Minjiang, she is shocked. She quickly sits next to Qin and says, I heard that your own man betrayed you. If you do the medical business in such a situation, won't it be difficult for you? Qin says, they will praise it because look, this connection is very expensive. I can't use it. Seeing this, Feng is a little shocked. Just then, Jia Ding says to Minjiang, do you know she is the director's daughter and has been associated with us since childhood? Minjiang says, but I didn't ask you. Jia Ding says, yes, but now you are working for the Qin family, so you should know all these things to deal with them, right? Feng is a lizard and leech type girl, and she has been stuck here since childhood. If any girl comes near Qin, she makes her life hell. And I am telling you all this as a friend. The rest is up to you. Minjiang says, thank you. Then both of them go downstairs. Feng is asking Qin, what is so special about that bar girl? Jia Ding says, hey, listen, Miss Feng, the woman you are talking about is my teacher, not some bar girl. Don't speak without thinking. Feng feels embarrassed. Minjiang says, Mr. Qin, today's class is over, so I will leave now. Qin says, have lunch before you go. Minjiang refuses. Qin says, what I have said is final. Don't say another word. Just then, Jen comes and says, Master, your lunch is ready. And then, when everyone goes to the dining table, Feng says, why is everything so salty today? Qin, you like sweet things, right? Qin says, Miss Minjiang is from Shenzhen, so she likes spicy food a lot. Hearing this, Minjiang is shocked, wondering, how does he know about me? And Feng is also getting jealous. Minjiang says, Uncle Jen and Mr. Qin, thank you. Then Qin asks Jia Ding, how was your class? Jia Ding says, I am very happy with Miss Min, and you should like her too. And please request her to only teach me. Hearing this, Minjiang starts coughing, so Qin gives her water. Minjiang looks towards Feng and picks up the water, saying, thank you, Mr. Qin. Feng is just looking at her with anger and says, I guessed your occupation just by looking at you. By the way, what do you do? Minjiang says, I am a teacher. Feng says, you didn't look like a teacher. Minjiang says, my dad was always a teacher, so this was my destiny, and today I am a good teacher. Jia Ding says to Feng, hey ma'am, the Qin family always appreciates beauty, whether it's finding a tutor or a wife. And that is a standard of our family, right? Qin says, correct. Feng says, I don't think beauty is enough. A person should also have skills, right? As Feng is about to pick up some food, Qin takes it and puts it on Minjiang's plate and starts smiling. Seeing this, Feng gets very jealous. Minjiang says, I never thought you would be Mr. Qin and eat with me. Qin says, let's not talk about business right now. Just eat and eat to your heart's content. Minjiang quickly puts food in her mouth and says, it's good. Qin starts wiping the food from Minjiang's lips with his hands. Minjiang says, no, I'll do it. Qin says, I'm telling you to let me do it, miss. Minjiang says, I am full. I'll be leaving now. Qin says, wait for a moment. Just then, Uncle Jen comes with a box and says, ma'am, here is your salary. Minjiang says, this is more than my salary. I can't take this. Minjiang says, I can't keep the money for your hard work. Please accept it. Minjiang says, thank you, and starts to leave. Feng says, hey, Miss Min, I'll walk you out. And then she follows her. Now, outside, Feng says to Minjiang, don't think that you can do whatever you want just because Qin is satisfied with you. That's why you are here. Just then, Jia Ding and Qin also come and start watching them from above. Then, Minjiang says, I have no connection with that man or what he likes. Feng says, don't misunderstand my words. I like him a lot. Minjiang says, my purpose for coming here is only Jia Ding. He is so attached to me now that he won't let anyone bully me. Feng says, how well do you even know Qin? Minjiang says, he gave birth to a successful child. I just liked that fact. I only come here to teach Jia Ding, so don't strain your brain too much. From above, Chin watches and thinks, after doing so much, she still says she doesn't care about money. What kind of girl is she? Just then, Jia Ding says, tell Miss Feng to control herself. I don't know what her deal is. Saying this, they both leave. Then Feng invites Min Jiang to her party. In the next scene, Min Jiang goes to that same party with her friend Yu Qi. Just then, Chin also arrives there. Feng runs to Chin, and Chin gives her a bouquet. Seeing this, Feng becomes happy and is about to hold Chin's hand, but Chin pulls his hand away and says, you go from here. I will leave in a little while. Feng leaves from there. Just then, Min Jiang takes a drink and goes to Chin. Chin says, you know you have a side job in the film industry, right? Min Jiang says, this is my friend, the director, and I have come here to learn something from a senior. Just then, Yu Qi also says, hello, to Chin. Min Jiang says, you gave me such a good opportunity, and I haven't even thanked you yet. Just then, the people standing nearby start talking. Seeing this, Chin gets close to Min Jiang and says, what is your intention after all? Min Jiang says, I know what you value the most. My every step will tell you everything. Just then, a person comes to them and says, it seems there's something going on between you and Mr. Chin. And by the way, I also wanted to talk about the movie. Chin doesn't listen to the person and leaves from there. Min Jiang also tells the person to talk to Yu Qi and leaves. Now, outside, Min Jiang is getting some fresh air when Chin comes from behind, grabs her, and pulls her close. Min Jiang says, weren't you leaving already? Chin says, if I had left, how would I have seen such a good show? Min Jiang says, there are so many stars here, so why are you only interested in me? Chin runs his hand through her hair and says, the bold character in this show has turned 1 year old again. Min Jiang says, you didn't expose me, which means you're not angry. And why did you come here to stop me? Chin says, how can you guess my thoughts? Min Jiang says, if you see me as I am, it will be easy for you. Otherwise, it will be difficult for you if you see me in your own way. Guessing your thoughts is beyond my ability. Hearing this, Chin smiles and says thank you to her. In the next scene, Min Jiang goes to Jia Ding's room, and Jia Ding is asleep. Min Jiang says, you are still sleeping? Then she picks up a stick and says, Mr. Jia Ding, if you don't get up now, your bottom will also sleep with you. But Jia Ding says nothing. Min Jiang says, Jia Ding, I'm removing the blanket, and then starts a countdown after removing the blanket, and then hits his bottom with the stick. We find out that this is none other than Chin. Chin grabs her hand and pulls her towards him, causing Min Jiang's hand to land on Chin's body, and they end up kissing. Chin's heartbeat becomes fast, and they both start looking at each other. Just then, Jia Ding gets up from under the bed. Min Jiang quickly steps back and says, Mr. Chin, how are you here? Jia Ding starts looking at both of them. Chin shows the stick and says, Miss Min, are you planning to bring glory to our family's name like this? Min Jiang says, it's not like that. Chin looks at her hands, which Min Jiang still has on his body, and then says, are your intentions right? Hearing this, Min Jiang is shocked, and then looks down and quickly steps back. Chin places the stick on her mouth and says, are your intentions right? Min Jiang starts looking at his body. Chin says, by the way, I didn't do anything. Min Jiang says, it's not like that. It's class time. I thought you were Jia Ding and this was a misunderstanding. Jia Ding quickly says, hey, you two kissed. I'm going to tell Grandpa. Min Jiang grabs him and says, this isn't true. Chin says, but it is the truth. Jia Ding says, I'm an honest boy. Min Jiang says, Mr. Chin, what were you doing here? Chin says, he has had a high fever since yesterday and he wasn't taking his medicine either. Min Jiang says, so you were taking care of him? Chin says, he was feeling hot, so he was sleeping on the floor. Hearing this, Jia Ding also says the same thing. Min Jiang says, whenever you get sick, you create more trouble for yourself. Jia Ding says, the medicine tastes very bad. Min Jiang checks his fever and leaves. In the next scene, Min Jiang makes fruit porridge and also mixes medicine in it for Jia Ding. Just then, Chin comes there, looks at the porridge and says, I want to eat this too. Min Jiang serves him the porridge and starts to leave. Chin quickly takes a spoonful of porridge, but it is very hot. As Min Jiang looks back, Chin stands up straight, and after Min Jiang leaves, he quickly starts blowing on his lips. In the next scene, Chin and Jia Ding go to Min Jiang's house. Chin stays seated in the car outside, and Jia Ding goes inside and says, you made that porridge, so I thought why not invite you for a treat. Min Jiang says, that was just a small thing. There's no need to thank me so much for it. Jia Ding says, go and say no to the one sitting downstairs. Min Jiang is shocked and says, what? Mr. Chin wants to give me a treat? Jia Ding says, no, I'm the one who invited you, and I brought him to pay the bill. Min Jiang says, okay, I'll change my dress. Just then, there is a knock on the door. As soon as Min Jiang opens the door, there is a person there who starts misbehaving with Min Jiang. Jia Ding pushes him and say, don't you have a mother and sisters at home? That person starts hitting Jia Ding. Min Jiang tries to stop the person, but he pushes Min Jiang, causing her to fall and hurt her foot. That person again goes and starts forcing himself on Min Jiang. Just then, Chin comes from behind, hits a bottle on his head, and then starts beating him badly. Minjiang tells him to stop, so that person runs away from there. Then Chin starts applying medicine to her wound. He then gets close to her and starts applying medicine to her neck and then blows on it. Just then, Jia Ding comes inside and says, "Hey you two are always at it. Have you ever thought about me? You only care about one person." Chin says, "Who told you that?" Jia Ding says, "We both got hurt, but still your attention is on her. I only have 2 eggs and they've gotten cold, but nobody cares about me. You care more about Miss Min than me, my dear uncle." Hearing this, Minjiang is shocked because until now, she had thought they were father and son. She quickly says, "What did you say? Uncle? Mr. Chin? You're his uncle, not his dad?" Hearing this, Chin and Jia Ding say, "What are you saying?" And then Jia Ding says, "Don't pay attention to rumors. They are all lies." Minjiang says, "I knew it. Anyway, you look like you're 30, so how could you have children?" Hearing this, Chin says angrily, "I am 24. Minjiang says, "I didn't mean that. You are a young and successful boy." In the next scene, Minjiang and Yu Qi go to meet Jiang Dong, a major enemy of the Qin family. Jiang Dong starts deliberately harassing Minjiang. Minjiang says, "Why are you harassing me?" Jiang Dong says, "Because I like you." Feng and Qin are also listening to all of this. Then Jiang Dong says, "Okay, I'll compromise. If you drink this, I will leave." Now, just as Minjiang is about to take the drink, Qin comes in and grabs Minjiang's hand. Jiang Dong says, "Hey, you came uninvited." Qin says, "How dare you talk to me like that? And why are you bullying a girl? If you are a man, compete with me." Jiang Dong says, "Now the rules have changed. If Min drinks this, I will let her go from here." Qin says, "People who understand only through kicks don't listen to words." Jiang Dong says, "This is my territory. If you try to take it, I will never bother you and will let you go." "Why? Are you scared?" "Okay, if she drinks, it's 1 bottle. If you drink, it's 3 bottles." Qin says, "Just 3 bottles? That won't even wet my mouth." Minjiang tries to stop him, but Qin puts his hand on hers and starts drinking. After drinking 3 bottles, Qin says to Minjiang, "Stay away from deceitful people. From today, you will live at my house. Then I'll see who has the guts to come near you." Minjiang starts to say something, but Qin says, "What I've said is final." In the next scene, Minjiang goes to Qin with grapes and milk. Qin is in the washroom. Minjiang says, "I came to see you." Qin quickly comes out, brings her inside, and says, "It was just a few bottles. Not a single hair on my head was out of place because of it." Minjiang says, "Drinking on an empty stomach is very bad anyway, so I brought grapes and milk." Just then, Qin starts to feel like vomiting. Minjiang says, "I have heard that grapes and milk help with this. Try it." Qin says, "Do you want me to stand in the washroom and eat grapes?" Minjiang says, "I didn't think about that." Qin stands up straight and says, "Are you sure that eating grapes will sober me up?" And then they both start looking at each other. Minjiang says, "I don't know either. Just, these grapes are sweet. Try them." Qin steps back and says, "My hands are dirty. You feed me." Minjiang doesn't know what to do. Then she picks up a grape and puts it in his mouth. Qin eats the grape and says, "Wine is also made from grapes, so how will this sober me up?" Minjiang says, "This drink is not made from these grapes. These are ripe grapes." Qin says, "Are these some magical grapes that you found?" Minjiang starts laughing. Qin says, "It's so easy to make you laugh." Hearing this, Minjiang quickly becomes serious. Qin says, "Keep laughing, you silly girl. I don't eat people." Minjiang starts laughing again, and Qin starts eating grapes himself and says, "The grapes are sweet." Minjiang says, "But your hands were dirty." Qin laughs and says, "I was teasing you after seeing your red face." Minjiang picks up the milk and says, "Its effect comes from the milk." Just then, milk spills on Qin's clothes. Minjiang quickly starts cleaning the milk. Qin holds her hand. Minjiang says, "What happened?" Qin says, "What you're about to do will mess everything up, not fix it. I don't like your intentions, Miss Minjiang." As soon as she looks at her hands, she turns her face away and says, "I'm sorry, Mr. Qin." Just then, Qin grabs Minjiang, hugs her, and hides her. A man enters and Qin tells him, "Get lost." After he leaves, Minjiang's earring gets stuck in Qin's button. While taking it out, Qin says, "Is that director with the glasses your boyfriend?" Minjiang says, "No, we are new here, so I said he is my boyfriend just for my own protection." Qin thinks to himself happily, "Thank God he is not her boyfriend." Then Qin gets close to Minjiang and says, "What type of boy do you like?" Minjiang says, "I like money more than boys," and then starts smiling. In the next scene, Qin is sleeping when Jia Ding, dressed as a ghost, goes near him. Qin's hand accidentally hits his head, which wakes Qin up, and Jia Ding also starts screaming. Qin makes him sit up straight and says, "Why are you behaving so strangely so late at night? What are you trying to do?" Jia Ding says, "Uncle, I can't sleep. I'm worried." Qin asks him, "Why?" Jia Ding says, "Don't you think Miss Min was looking very charming today?" Qin says, "Is that your worry?" Jia Ding says, "Yes, she is beautiful and smart. Such a perfect personality doesn't attract you?" Qin says, "I have no wrong thoughts. Jia Ding says, "Uncle, how would it be if Miss Min becomes my stepmom?" Just then, water spills from Chin's mouth onto Jia Ding's face. Jia Ding says, "Looking at you, it seems like you are getting jealous." Chin says, "Why are you matchmaking?" Jia Ding says, "Hasn't it occurred to you that she could become my stepmom?" Chin says, "There are many, but the debt to the first is the greatest. But when good times come, one first thinks of dad. Ungrateful." Jia Ding says, "My dad is tall, handsome, and rich, and perhaps his reputation is greater than yours and Miss Min will like him more." Chin gets a little jealous. Jia Ding says, "First, you try and then my dad. If she doesn't like either of you, then in 2 years I'll be grown up, and then I will marry Miss Min." Chin tells him to leave and goes to sleep himself. Jia Ding leaves, laughing. Chin removes the blanket from his face and says, "Ungrateful. I am very handsome." In the next scene, it's Chin's birthday. Uncle Jen comes and says, "All the guests have arrived." Chin asks, "Where is Min Jiang?" Just then, Min Jiang comes downstairs from above, and Chin can't stop staring at her because she is looking very beautiful. Jia Ding says, "Look, I chose this dress for her. Tell me, how is it?" Chin says, "This button necklace is amazing." Seeing this, Feng gets jealous and is about to grab him when Chin leaves from there. Just as he is about to cut the cake, Jiang Dong arrives and says, "Happy birthday, Chin." Seeing him, Min Jiang leaves. Chin says, "What have you come here for?" Jiang Dong says, "As a senior of the TCM family, I have come to celebrate with you." Chin gets angry at him and then tells everyone to enjoy the party. In the next scene, Min Jiang and Jia Ding are sitting on one side. Just then, Jiang Dong comes and says, "Oh, so you are here." Min Jiang says, "Oh, so when did you get here?" Over here, Chin is also watching them and is about to go to them when Feng brings a person to introduce to Chin. And over here, Jiang Dong asks Min Jiang to have a drink. So Min Jiang takes the drink and drinks it. Jiang Dong starts talking to Min Jiang. Jia Ding says, "Hey uncle, you haven't tried the cake, right? Here, take this." And then the cake falls on Jiang Dong's clothes. Jiang Dong gets angry and says, "There is no decent person in your house," and he leaves from there. Min Jiang starts laughing and says, "You are a clever boy." Just then, Min Jiang feels a bit strange, so she goes outside. Chin also comes and gives her a drink. Both start drinking. Then Chin says, "My gift?" Min Jiang gives him a gift. When Chin opens the gift, there is a lighter inside it. Min Jiang says, "I have seen you playing with a lighter, but you never use it, so I thought maybe it was broken. That's why I brought a new one from the store." Chin says, "It's not broken, I just don't smoke." Min Jiang starts to take the lighter back and says, "I'll bring something else." Chin throws the old lighter away and says, "It's just a lighter. What could it mean? I like this one." Just then, Min Jiang looks at the stars and says, "There is a saying that if the sun shines and the moon is perfectly clear on one's birthday, then the year will be very good." Chin starts looking at her and then says, "That's good," and both start drinking again. After finishing the entire drink, Min Jiang starts feeling very strange. Chin asks her, "What happened?" Min Jiang says, "Did you mix something in this drink?" Chin smells the glass and says, "The drink is perfectly fine, but you..." Chin starts to support her, but Min Jiang tells him to stay away. Chin says, "You doubt me?" And then he picks her up. Min Jiang tells him to put her down. Chin says, "I didn't do this, believe it or not." Min Jiang looks at him lovingly and places her hand on Chin's cheeks. Chin takes her inside, puts Min Jiang in the shower tub, and turns on the shower. He himself starts to support her and checks her temperature. Min Jiang gets up and starts to leave but then falls. Chin catches her and says, "You are tempting me. This is a normal reaction, and I am a man." Min Jiang kisses him and they both kiss each other. Then Chin picks her up, lays her on the bed, and they both kiss each other and spend the whole night like this. When Chin wakes up in the morning, he sees Min Jiang's necklace. Just then, Min Jiang wakes up and moves away, saying, "Stay away from me." Chin says, "I take responsibility for last night, but that drink was not mine." Min Jiang says, "I drank your drink and ended up in this condition." Chin says, "I know my standards are very high, but I can't do such a despicable thing to any girl." Then, sitting next to her, Chin says, "I am not running away from responsibility, but think carefully for once. Besides me, who else gave you anything to eat or drink?" Just then, Min Jiang remembers Jiang Dong's drink and says, "I drank Jiang Dong's drink." Chin says, "He did such a low-down thing, but don't worry. I won't tell anyone about what happened last night." In the next scene, Chin is sitting at the dining table. Just then, Jia Ding says, "Why is breakfast so good today? Is someone sick?" Just then, Min Jiang arrives, and they both feel awkward seeing each other. Jia Ding asks Min Jiang to eat, but Min Jiang refuses and leaves. Jia Ding says, "Miss Min doesn't seem well. Is this pudding for her?" Chin nods his head. Then Jia Ding says, "Did you two have a fight?" In the next scene, Uncle Jen says to Min Jiang, "Miss Min, you came at the perfect time. Mr. Chin is sick, and he has refused to take medicine. Please help me." Min Jiang thinks to herself that the uncle and nephew are just alike. Min Jiang takes the medicine from him and asks, do you have jam? Uncle Jen gives her jam. Min Jiang takes it and goes inside. She touches Qin, and he is very hot. Min Jiang says, you can't get better like this. I'll go call a doctor. Qin grabs her hand and says, no doctor. Min Jiang says, then at least take this medicine. Qin tries to get up but can't. Min Jiang says, I'll help you. Now, as Min Jiang tries to help Qin up, Qin hugs her tightly. Min Jiang says, Mr. Qin, I am Min Jiang, not Jia Ding. It's not right to hold me like this. Just then, Jia Ding enters the room and says, hey, you lovebirds, what are you doing? Min Jiang says, Jia Ding, you came at the right time. Mr. Qin has a fever, and he is delirious. Help me handle him. Qin angrily gestures at Jia Ding from behind. Jia Ding says, oh, Miss Min, I can't get sick by being near sick people. I trust you. I'm leaving. Saying this, Jia Ding leaves. Min Jiang keeps shouting at him. Min Jiang says, Mr. Qin, I'm not calling the doctor. You can let me go. Qin says, your hair is so fragrant, and then lets her go. Then, Min Jiang gives him the medicine with her hands, but Qin spits it out. Min Jiang says, first, take this medicine. Then I will bring magical grapes to take away your bitterness. Qin quickly drinks the medicine. And all this was an act by Qin. He was not sick. After giving the medicine, Qin suddenly becomes fit and shows her the bowl. Seeing it, Min Jiang says, you seem even more magical than the magical grapes. Hearing this, Qin starts acting sick again. Min Jiang says, you are drenched in sweat. I'll ask Uncle Jen to clean it up. Qin says, you do it. Min Jiang tells him to keep his distance. Qin says, last night you asked me for help, and now you're keeping your distance from me? Why? Min Jiang says, okay, I'll do it. Then Min Jiang starts wiping his sweat, and they both look at each other. Then Qin holds Min Jiang's hand and is about to kiss her, but Min Jiang moves back and says, what are you doing? Qin says, grapes, and then kisses her. After kissing, Qin says, they were very sweet. Min Jiang smiles and leaves from there. Qin also smiles and sits up straight. In the next scene, Min Jiang goes to the market with a maid. She is looking at a watermelon there. Just then, the women standing nearby start talking, looking at Min Jiang, and saying bad things about her, that this girl is living with a man for money, and many other things. Hearing this, Min Jiang gets very angry but says nothing to them and leaves. In the next scene, Min Jiang is in her room when Qin comes there and says, you went to get grapes, right? Min Jiang says, do you remember? Qin says, I have a fever, not amnesia. Min Jiang says, okay, then when you kissed me? Hearing this, Qin is startled and says hesitantly, I remember my head was hurting, but I don't remember everything. Okay, what did you just say? Min Jiang says, nothing. Just then, Jia Ding comes inside and says, I heard some women misbehaved with you, Miss Min. Come on, teacher, I'll help you. Min Jiang says, Jia Ding, this is a matter for adults, and I have a way to solve it. Qin says, what is all this? Min Jiang says, Mr. Qin, I want to handle this myself. In the next scene, Min Jiang goes to actor Ding. Seeing her, Ding says, oh wow, you really came here. No doubt people are saying wrong things about you. Just then, Min Jiang slaps her. Ding says, you lizard, why did you hit me? Min Jiang says, why would I be afraid of a woman who spreads rumors? Just then, Yuqi comes forward and says, from which graveyard did a ghost like you emerge? Why do you look so strange? Ding says, Miss Min, you turned out to be a coward. Why did you bring a man into this? Hearing this, Min Jiang gestures for Yuqi to step aside and says, you are also a coward for bringing these two with you. Yuqi won't fight. He is just here to see the outcome. Ding says, I won't spare you. Yuqi says, wait. First, let me count your bones because Min, when she's angry, breaks half the people and you won't even be able to be put back together. Hearing this, Ding gets angry and attacks Min Jiang. Min Jiang catches her and starts hitting her badly, saying, don't think that by defaming me, you can show your loyalty. Today, I will teach you a lesson. All the waiters standing there start watching her. Then she starts beating Ding very badly. Ding keeps screaming. Just then, Qin also arrives there and is about to go inside, but then stops right there and is shocked to see this, because he had seen this side of Min Jiang for the first time. Min Jiang was beating all of them badly. She alone was overpowering all three of them. Qin starts laughing seeing this. Then Min Jiang says, whoever spreads rumors against me will meet the same fate. Yuqi says, she is still breathing. I guess I don't need to explain. Just then, Ding hits Yuqi's face very hard and her nails scratch his face. Min Jiang says to her, how dare you? Yuqi says, stop fighting and take me to the hospital. Min Jiang says, don't mess with me, and takes Yuqi and leaves from there. In the next scene, Min Jiang takes Yuqi to Jiangdong. Jiangdong asks them to eat food cooked by his mom. At first, Min Jiang refuses but later agrees. When Jiangdong takes them both to his house, Min Jiang is shocked to see his parents and says, Mom? Jiangdong's mom is also shocked to see Min Jiang. Here we find out that Jiangdong's parents are Min Jiang's parents. Now we see a scene from the past where Min Jiang's house catches fire. Her mom is screaming and calling for help. Just then, a person comes and says, I'll help you. Min Jiang's mom says, First, help my daughter. That person picks up Minjong and leaves, and does not come back. After a while, Minjong's mom also gets up, but Minjong's dad dies. When Minjong's mom is outside, Jiangdong's dad saves her, which is why Minjong's mom got married a second time. Now, we see the present scene where Minjong says to her mom, "Mom, please try to remember a little more. Who came to our house before the fire started?" Her mom puts pressure on her mind. Now we see a past scene where a person comes to meet Minjong's dad. He really likes a painting there and asks Minjong's dad for its price. The dad says, "No, I have kept this for my daughter's dowry. I will not sell it." The person gets angry and grabs Minjong's dad's throat. Minjong's mom starts hitting the person from behind with a pot, but the dad tells her not to. The person says, "Sell this to me. I will give you money, or else." Minjong's dad says, "I have said I will not sell it. Go away from here." The person says, "Old man, just wait," and leaves from there. Now in the present scene, the mom says, "It must be him who started the fire," and starts crying. Minjong's dad says, "We are just guessing. We don't have proof. Listen to me. We need to make a plan carefully." The mom says, "He did everything. I am sure of it. He ruined our family." Jiangdong says, "Don't you have any trust in your son's power?" After this, everyone is eating together when Jiangdong says, "From our first meeting, I felt a strange connection with you, and now I know that we are brother and sister." And then Jiangdong drops Minjong home because she had drunk too much. Now, in a drunken state, Minjong goes to Qin's room and starts acting strangely. Qin goes and holds her, but Minjong pushes him onto the bed and sleeps on top of him. Qin says, "How dare you come into my room?" Minjong holds his face and starts laughing. Qin says, "Did you drink with Jiangdong?" Hearing this, Minjong stands up and holds herself. Qin turns her around and says, "Look carefully at this place." Minjong says, "This place?" and then faints. Qin picks her up and says, "I can't do anything with you," and takes her away from there. In the next scene, Qin asks a tailor to take Minjiang's measurements. Minjiang asks, "Mr. Qin, is this for me?" Qin starts thinking about something. Now we see a past scene in which Qin asks Jiangdong, "What is your and Minjiang's relationship after all?" Jiangdong says, "I can tell you, but I want to share in your ointment." Qin says, "Deal." Jiangdong explains, 2 years ago, there was a huge fire in the Min family. Some people died and some survived. These years have been very difficult for Minjong. And then my dad saved Minjiang's mom's life. That's why we are brother and sister. Now in the present scene, the tailor says, "The measurement is done, if there is nothing else. I will leave and will send the clothes once they are ready." Saying this, the tailor starts to leave, but Qin tells him to stop and says, "Winter is coming. I also need winter clothes, so take my measurements as well." The tailor says, "No, I just took your measurements last month." Qin says, "I am losing weight, so take them again." The tailor starts taking his measurements. Qin holds his hand and says, "Your eyes must have gotten a little teary." The tailor says, "No problem, I have glasses." And he is about to take out the glasses when Qin again holds his hand and gestures towards Minjiang. The tailor understands and puts his glasses back, saying, "Oh man, my glasses are probably left at the shop." And then says to Miss Min, "Miss Min, can you help me?" Minjiang says, "Me? But you just took the measurements." The tailor says, "Yes, but suddenly I can't see properly. Do one thing. Go close to him. The clothes will fit better." Minjiang starts taking Qin's measurements and says, "You have so much work, yet you thought about my clothes. I'm sorry for that. Shoulder width 50 inches. Qin says, "The clothes you brought with you must be old. And you're about to meet your mom. Don't you want her to think we are treating you badly?" But Minjiang is just taking measurements. Qin says, "Jiangdong told me that your mom lives with the Jiang family." Minjiang says, "Please keep this confidential." Qin says, "Yes, why not?" And then he spreads his arms and says, "Chest measurement." Minjiang gets very close to him and takes the measurement. Qin says, "You should live like a brother and sister with Jiangdong, understood? Or should I explain?" Minjiang says, "Chest circumference 96. Qin says, "Now it's the next turn." Minjiang starts taking his neck measurement and gets very close to him. Qin whispers in her ear, "Why are your cheeks so red?" Minjiang says, "It's very hot today." Qin says, Tonight is indeed very hot." And they both stand close to each other. Just then, the tailor's bag falls from his hand, and they both quickly step back. The tailor comes and says, "Done," and starts to leave. But then, the tailor's glasses fall. Qin starts looking at him. Minjiang picks up the glasses and gives them to him, saying, "Sir, you shouldn't keep glasses in your sleeves like this. They can break." The tailor takes the glasses and leaves. Minjiang looks at Qin and thinks to herself, "He is so childish." After this, Minjiang and Jiading are sitting in an art class when Qin enters the room and says, "For Jiading to focus in class, from today I will audit all classes." Minjiang says, "Jiading likes art class. He listens attentively, so there is no need for an audit. Chin gestures towards Jia Ding. Jia Ding says, "If uncle is here, I will work harder." And then Jia Ding says, "By the way, Miss Min, you teach me, but I have never seen your painting. Shall we have a competition?" Min Jiang says, "Yes, okay, let's draw that orange." Jia Ding says, "No, draw my uncle's picture." Min Jiang says, "It takes time to make a painting, so maybe Mr. Qian doesn't have that much time." But Chin moves the orange aside, strikes a pose, and sits down, saying, "Let's start." Min Jiang says angrily, "Fine." And as she starts to paint, Jia Ding says, "Miss Min, teach me how to draw muscles. In our house, uncle has the best muscles. Uncle, show them." Min Jiang signals to Qin, No, don't show them. This is foolishness." But Qin says, "For Jia Ding's art class, I can do anything." Min Jiang thinks to herself, will he really take off his clothes? And Qin actually takes off his shirt. Seeing him, Min Jiang looks down. Then Jia Ding says to start painting. While painting, Min Jiang's entire focus is on Qin. Min Jiang tries to stop herself, but she still looks at Qin and remembers all the romantic moments she spent with him. And then she says to herself, "Min Jiang, what are you doing?" And then starts focusing on the painting. After some time, Jia Ding says, "I'm done." Min Jiang says, "I'm done too." Qin puts on his shirt and goes to see their paintings. Qin doesn't like Jia Ding's painting. When Qin is about to see Min Jiang's painting, Min Jiang puts her head on top of the painting. Qin moves her head and looks at the painting. In her painting, Min Jiang had also put a shirt on Qin. Qin asks, "Why am I wearing clothes?" Min Jiang says with a smile, "You could have caught a cold." Qin says, "Thank you very much." Min Jiang starts laughing. And then when Jia Ding sees the painting, he says, "Miss Min, your painting is not that realistic." Min Jiang says, "Listen, Jia Ding, I taught you all this. You should be grateful to me." Jia Ding says, "Yes, okay. By the way, Miss Min used to paint well, but maybe you got a little nervous seeing my uncle's beauty." Min Jiang quickly says, "It's not like that." Hearing this, Qin says, "Am I not beautiful?" Min Jiang says, "I didn't mean that. It was just a mistake." Qin says, "I understand. And hang this painting in your room. Don't take it down until it's as handsome as me." Min Jiang says, "I am single right now, so how can I hang a man's picture in my room?" Qin says, "Then look at it and improve it, and when it's finished, I'll buy it for $100. Min Jiang says, "Deal." Jia Ding is a little surprised, and after Qin leaves, he says to Min Jiang, "Are you really giving more importance to dollars than my uncle?" In the next scene, Jia Ding is sleeping. As soon as he opens his eyes, he sees Qin sitting in front of him. Jia Ding gets scared seeing him. Qin tells him to be quiet. Jia Ding says, "A famous leader of #Shencheng lost his sleep over a tutor." Qin says, "Stop talking nonsense. You are the only one who is close to Miss Min Jiang, so help me understand her perspective." Jia Ding says, "Mr. Qin, please speak." Qin says, "I am handsome and rich, and I also have a good nature." Jia Ding first says no, and then nods his head. Yes. Qin says, "But why does she show me so much respect and also secretly intimidate me?" Jia Ding says, "Either she doesn't like your wealth and looks, or she doesn't like your nature." Hearing this, Qin gets angry and starts to leave. Jia Ding says, "Uncle, are you going to leave without taking good advice?" Qin quickly stands up straight and says, "Speak." Jia Ding says, "Miss Min is not like other girls who would be happy with gifts or jewelry, so make her happy in some other way." Qin says, "Speak straight." Jia Ding says, "Something that attracts her. Something that is most precious to you. If you like her, then give her everything that is important to you. Like, you like sweets, right? So, make something sweet for her with your own hands." Hearing this, Qin smiles. After this, Qin bakes a cake and also puts grapes on top of it. Just then, Min Jiang comes inside, picks up a grape, eats half of it, and offers the other half to Qin. Qin also eats that same grape, but this was all Qin's dream. Just then, Jia Ding says, Uncle, why are your ears so red?" Qin says, "Mind your own business," and leaves from there. In the next scene, Min Jiang is leaving when she sees Uncle Jen standing outside the kitchen. Min Jiang says, "Uncle Jen, what happened? Why are you in such a hurry?" Uncle Jen says, "Mr. Qin is possessed by a ghost. He has locked himself in the kitchen." Saying this, Uncle Jen mutters something and leaves. Min Jiang knocks on the door and hears a noise from inside. Min Jiang runs inside. Qin quickly hides the burnt cake. Qin says, "How did you get in?" Min Jiang goes forward, sees the cake and says, "I heard a noise from inside, so I came in. Are you okay?" Qin says, "I won't make any mistakes," and then starts coughing. Min Jiang starts laughing and says, "Mr. Qin, I received the dress and lotion. Thank you very much." Qin says, "You are the first user of that beauty cream, so tell me, how was it?" Min Jiang says, "Yes, it's a very good cream, and its fragrance is also very nice." Qin gets close to Min Jiang, smells her, and says, "This fragrance suits you." Min Jiang says, "This cake." Qin picks up the cake and says, "Do you want to try it?" Min Jiang says, "Absolutely not." Qin says, "It doesn't look good," but after removing the burnt part, and as Qin cuts the cake, it's burnt from the inside too. Chin says, no problem, I can fix this. Minjong says, bravo, and then thinks to herself, this food can be lethal. And then as Chin starts to make the cake again, Minjong says, I'll make the cake base for you. Chin says, no, the cook already made one this morning. Minjong tries to pick up the cake but can't lift it. Chin helps her. After lifting the cake, the necklace falls from Minjong. Minjong quickly picks it up and starts cleaning it. Chin asks, is this button so precious? Did its owner also make a cake for you? Just then, Minjong sees a scene from the past and says, this belongs to the one who saved my life. Without him, I wouldn't be here. And then Chin starts putting cream on the cake. Minjang says, Mr. Chin, did you just say that you made this cake for me? Chin says, ever since you came here, you've been in a lot of trouble, so consider this as a thank you. Minjang starts putting cream on the cake. Chin goes behind her and says, this looks easier than making a cake, doesn't it? I'll help you. And then Chin also starts putting cream on the cake, which makes Minjang's heartbeat faster. After applying the cream, Chin gets close to Minjong and says, your plating is so bad that it doesn't look any better than my food. Minjong tastes a grape and says, looks don't affect the taste, and this is sweet but not too sweet. Try it. Chin eats the same grape and gets very close to Minjong. Just then, Jiading comes from behind and says, Uncle, are you making a cake or a bomb? Why is it taking so long? What were you two doing? Oh, eating grapes? I want to eat too. Minjong puts a grape in his mouth. Jiading says, how delicious. Chin puts cream on his nose. Minjong says, let's eat the cake, and takes the cake and leaves. Jiading says, oh, uncle, you are even scared of me, man. What kind of justice is this? Chin says, when it's not needed, don't look at it. Spit it out. I said, spit it out. In the next scene, Jiangdong takes Minjong to a place. Minjong says, you said you would take me to a London festival? Jiangdong says, the grand prize of the festival is hidden in these very streets. Go and find it. And Jiangdong sends Minjong in the other direction. As soon as Minjong goes into the other street, she feels like someone is following her. As a man comes behind her, Minjong starts to leave quickly and says, I won't say anything to you. Please let me go. As she is about to leave, that person turns out to be none other than Chin, who calls out to Minjong from behind. Minjong says, what are you doing here? Chin says, you don't need to worry about the biggest villain in Shenzhen. The Feng family can't do anything to me. I can't let you go like this. I want to be with you. Is that okay? Minjong says, I'm just worried about your safety. Chin says, it's okay, and then gets down on one knee. Chin says, I am on one knee, either for death or for marriage. Choose one. Minjong says, Mr. Chin, your actions are confusing me. Chin says, there is no confusion. I am confessing my love. Minjong Shi, I love you very much. Just then, it starts to snow. Minjong says, Mr. Chin, are you thinking that if we become a family you won't have to pay Jiaoding's fees? Just then, Chin comes and starts kissing Minjong, and they both get lost in the kiss. After kissing, Chin shows a necklace and says, this is more beautiful than the button one. Minjong says with a smile, Mr. Chin, are you jealous of a button? Chin places the necklace in her hand. Tears come to Minjong's eyes, and she becomes very happy. Chin kisses her again. Just then, Jiading, Yuqi, and Jiangdong arrive there. Jiading says, congratulations, uncle. I brought grape flowers for you. Chin takes the flowers. Minjong says, this was all your plan? Jiangdong says, I was always a hindrance in relatives' planning, so I thought, why not do something good? Jiading says, uncle, can I call her aunt? Chin says, call her. As soon as Jiading calls her aunt, Minjong starts to blush, and Chin also repeatedly tells him to call her aunt. In the next scene, Minjong is in her room when Chin comes there. Minjong calls him Mr. Chin. Chin says, you are still calling me Mr. Chin? Minjong says, then what should I call you? Chin says, I think darling is perfect for you, and he gets very close to her. Minjong says, Chinjan. Good night. Chin pulls her even closer. Minjong kisses him, and then they spend the whole night making love. In the next scene, someone captures Feng. Feng's dad comes to Chin and says, my daughter was coming to meet you. Tell me, what have you done to her? Chin calls someone on the phone and tells them to find Feng. Feng's dad says, stop this drama. You are the one who kidnapped my daughter? Now, as Chin and Feng's dad come downstairs, a person comes carrying Feng. Chin tells them to call a doctor and takes her to a room to rest. Now the doctor comes to check on Feng. Feng just keeps saying, leave me alone. No, leave me alone. Stay away from me. Let me go. After checking, the doctor goes downstairs. Feng's dad asks, how is my daughter? The doctor says, Miss Feng is very scared, and she is not just injured but has also been assaulted. Hearing this, Feng's dad gets angry and Chin leaves from there. Feng's dad gives the doctor something to keep her mouth shut. On the other side, someone kidnaps Minjong. In the next scene, Feng's dad throws a party. Feng is very scared there. and all the guests are arriving. Chin is also standing outside and watching. Just then, Uncle Jen comes and says, Miss Min is in trouble. Hearing this, Chin leaves from there and says to Feng's person, take me to where Feng has hidden the drugs. The person says, which warehouse? Chin grabs him, puts him in the car and says, take me there? The person takes Chin there. Just then, a person there says, Mr. Chin, this is a restricted area, so you cannot go inside. Chin says, move, let me go. There is someone inside whom I love. Just then, the person who brought Chin says, let him go, Feng sent him. The man lets Chin go inside. As soon as Chin goes inside, he places a stick on Minjiang's mouth. Minjiang says, who is it? Don't touch me. Chin kisses her and removes the blindfold from her eyes. The person says, Mr. Chin, what are you doing? Chin says, do you want an explanation? And then starts hitting them. After beating them badly, Chin unties Minjiang and hugs her. Minjiang is also very happy. Chin picks her up and is about to leave when Minjiang says, wait a moment. She then takes the lighter from Chin's pocket, sets the entire warehouse on fire, and then kisses Chin. Chin says, the real show will begin now. I'll show you. Minjiang nods her head and they both leave from there. In the next scene, Jiangdong says to Feng and her dad, I have brought a gift for you. Feng starts calling for Chin and goes to Jiangdong and says Minjiang Shi's name. Jiangdong says, you are not even worthy of taking Minjiang's name. Just then, a person arrives there. Feng's dad says, why are you here? The person says, the entire warehouse is burned down. Now, as soon as that person sees Feng, Feng gets scared and steps back, saying, don't come near me. Feng's dad grabs him and says, how did Chin find my warehouse? The person says, because I told him that your girlfriend was kept there. The dad says, I saved your life, and you are betraying me. The person says, you plotted to ruin me. You should have known that this truth would come out. And then the person says, I was the one who took off Feng's clothes when she was injured. This ungrateful man's daughter tastes very good. Feng says, shut up, just stop. Jiangdong says, you ruined the Min family. If you don't admit it today, you will regret it. Feng's dad says, I am a director. Would I kill for this painting? This painting is my family's heritage. That person takes a pen from inside the painting and says, this man always asked me to do dirty work, so I kept proof hidden so that if anything happened, I wouldn't be caught alone. And then he gives the pen to Jiangdong. Now we see a past scene, and this was the same person who had stolen the painting from Minjiang's house, and, while leaving, put the pen inside the painting and set the place on fire. Now, in the present scene, Jiangdong says, you said this painting is your family's legacy, so why didn't you know that this was hidden inside the painting? And was your old name Min Hui? Just then, Minjiang and Chin arrive there. Feng says, you two are together? Minjiang Shi. Hearing the name Minjiang Shi, Feng's dad says, you are Min Hui's daughter. Minjiang says, don't take my dad's name with your dirty mouth. I have found the real culprit. I will take revenge for my dad. Feng's dad says, if I let a little girl like you accuse me, my career in Shenzhen will be over. Just then, the police arrive there. Feng's dad starts making excuses to them, but the police say, don't try to lie to me. I have heard everything with my own ears. Just then, that person shoots Feng's dad. Feng starts screaming. Then the police come and take that person away as well. Everyone becomes happy. In the next scene, Chin is standing on the roof when Minjiang comes from behind, calls him Mr. Chin, and goes to him. Chin shows her a ring and says, will you marry me? Minjiang says, sorry, this was not part of my plan, and leaves from there. Chin stands there sadly. Just then, Minjiang comes from behind and says, Mr. Chin, I am Minjiang Shi. And as soon as Chin turns his face towards her, Minjiang also shows him a ring. Chin turns his face away and says, this is not part of my plan. Minjiang turns his face towards her and says, are you angry? Just then, Chin kisses her, and they both put rings on each other's fingers. After putting on the rings, Chin whispers in Minjiang's ear, I will say this to you every day. Minjiang says, what are you saying? Chin starts kissing her, and they get lost in the kiss. In the next scene, everyone is sitting happily. Jiangdong and Yuqi are looking for girls for each other. Just then, a person arrives whom Minjiang recognizes and stands up. She then takes Chin to him and says, Mr. Chu, this is my husband, Chin. And Chin, he is the one who saved me, Mr. Chu. And that button was his. Chu says, Mr. Chin, I came to meet you. I am a commander, and we need some funds, so I have come to you for that. Chin brings him some amount and says, I will handle the rest. Just then, Jiangdong says, I am also the second richest man after Chin, so I will handle the rest. Jia Ding says, I also want to protect the country with Uncle Chu. Chin says, have you thought this through carefully? Jia Ding says, I have learned a lot from my aunt. I have acquired so much knowledge. When will all this be useful? Everyone starts laughing, and Chin and Minjiang also look at each other lovingly. And here, our drama has its happy ending.